But I usually do it through the movie reviews. I watch therapists um, review like Pixar movies and like
Okay.
why they make you feel certain ways, or like dissecting like
Oh, okay. I think I did see you watch a couple of those.
yeah. But I was on the second view of it, and she started off by talking about the movie Soul and like how great that movie is. And
Pixar has some home runs, man.
oh, Pixar is phenomenal.
They're more than just an animating studio. Like all their stories are like they're like so new age. Like if you look at all old Disney movies, and I know they aren't considered Pixar, but the animated movies, they all have like some sort of message. Like self-empowering a female protagonist, or discovering who your friends are, or like Brother Bear, it was like realizing who family is, and a lot of stuff. So, but like Pixar like hit some deep stuff.
Yeah, Pixar, actually, they talked about that in the one that I had watched today, was talking about how Pixar ties into the relationships that you have with people so deeply, or the connection you have with the movie so deeply, because it's so close to reality. They like,
They focus on people. Is that the trend?
they focus on like most of their stories like hit home of like a reality in some way. They're tied to reality in some sort of way. It was like the idea that he didn't like hit home on this concept, but
Sure. I mean,
like there's a lot of, I don't know, more real aspects to it. Whereas if you look at like a lot of older Disney movies, like they're not, you don't get, I don't feel as much of a connection, at least with Disney movies, as I do
sure.
with Pixar.
Like I said with the message, like in Brother Bear, it's like being Brother Bear is not a good one, but
I'm pretty sure Brother Bear is Disney,
like
isn't it?
yeah. Or like Toy Story.
Okay.
Like Toy Story has like real values in it, but like you can't compare them directly to the human experience.
You can though,
Yeah,
because they
in
have
Pixar,
emotion.
yes, in Pixar, it's like very clear. Like, like when they did Coco, like it was like
Oh, Coco.
your family, like this is your family on the
Mi
ofrenda.
familia.
Yeah, and then there was some spirituality in it, but it was like about family is important essentially,
Yeah.
and opposed to
Is that the message you got from, what is the main message you got from Coco?
well.
Like if you had to pick the main message, because there's definitely a lot of secondaries for sure.
There's a lot of
secondary,
points,
tertiaries.
but I think like what the main thing was is, of course, it focused on the Hispanic tradition of the Day of the Dead, but I think not just that. Like it's like
I guess like what I'm asking is the learning point. Like what did you like morally?
it's definitely like I think that movie focused on like family, but there's some stuff in there like the guy that was with the De La Cruz, who was like a corrupt guy who like lied and killed his best friend, and like that's morally wrong, and he was punished in the end for it. So like there's a lesson, but like I think that one overall is like it's about family.
So
What do you
that's
think?
interesting because I think Coco is more about following your dream.
Oh yeah, that is in there too.
It's like the
Yeah,
main
yeah,
one.
yeah. No, that is very good. I didn't think about that, but yes, because
What do you
he's
mean?
like, no, I don't want to follow your status quo, which was the family of shoemakers. He was like, I
It hit
want to
home
be a,
for me a lot.
yes.
So I think that's why it was like
Yeah, that's very important. I completely missed that, but I
like
think family was also
hiding
like
to play
huge.
guitar, and like
Yep.
like his family was like abandoned music, hated
Mhm.
it, and he was like, no, I love it, it's
How
my
about
passion. Moana.
Yeah,
Like the main moral or the idea
sure.
behind Moana.
Same concept, same conversation, different title.
um Give me a second to think about it, actually. I have to like almost rework through the entire movie to like think about it.
I think that one was doing something. It was like a change of destiny. Like her father was instilling his own destiny on her, when her real destiny was like to help out their island. Because since the beginning, she was like a believer in water and like the ocean, and that's where she wanted to be.
So
And
destiny,
then
I think it's a
her
lot
father kept trying to push her into being the next leader of the tribe, and she was like, "No, I don't want this. Like I already know what I want." And so it was like her pushing back against something maybe more relative to like maybe your relationship with your mother. Like they wanted you to be a doctor or this, that, and the other, and you've slowly pushed back over the years, and finally you've done that, and now you're not.
So I don't think it's so much labeled as destiny as like who you are. I think
who you are is a big way they put it in the movie.
I think
destiny
like,
is another frame, you know.
Yeah, I guess so. But like who you are is a big part, because there were definitely parts of the movie where she lost confidence in herself. But you know, like the whole concept of who you are, even up until the end, like when she's singing towards she's like, this is not who you are. I know monster's name.
You're
And
very
like
close.
even like it just screams it when she finds Maui for the first time. She's like, I am Moana of Motunui. You know, you will board my boat. Like this is who I am. You know, and having no idea of like sailing and everything, she was like, this is what I want. This is who I am. This is my passion. This is my drive. You know. And I think maybe that might be like the key thing in all the Pixar movies is almost everything has like a passion or a drive to it, a driving force. Sure. Toy Story, you know.
As long as you act on it.
Yeah. I mean, like, well, then if they're not acting on it, you don't have a movie, you know?
Sure.
But, like, in Toy Story, like, his passion was, like, it was in a way almost, like, finding himself to, like, being content. I don't know. Like, he was Andy's, like, favorite toy, and he had to accept that, like, you know,
it's
like
not it's not his position anymore.
Yeah,
well,
just
the last
like
one's
who he
different.
Is. Well, I was thinking of the first one, just like who he is.
The first one that was like more, I think I call them problem-solving movies, where like there's a big, you know, the Freytag's pyramid, where like it goes up and then there's a problem and then it gets resolved.
Yep.
And that applies to like every movie. It
Yeah.
always follows Freytag's pyramid.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones that don't are like, I guess it's Hollywood that does that, because I think a lot of
the Studio Ghibli movies are kind of like that. They're very out there.
Yes, they like don't follow Freytag's. They have their own trend line, and I think we're all kind of programmed to know the Freytags and underlying. I think it was what's his name wanted to make a podcast based on it. He was on Joe Rogan, and he had this really cool podcast idea. It was called The Door, or the Portal, and I really like the concept because he said that all the stories that are ever like done, for example, any movie that's ever done, there's a general underlying idea, like X bad guy does X to X person. X person who is in a negative position has a positive position. X person gets in a fight with, you know, like there's like 25 of them. And then so you can like, I might be giving way too many numbers to that, but essentially you could take any movie and you can look through that list of all these certain plots, and they all are related to it. And then the one that he liked the most was the concept that you enter a position that changes your life forever. So Alice in Wonderland enters a portal, changes her life forever. Another one that just came to my mind immediately was Limitless, where he takes the NZT or whatever. Like that. Technically, it isn't a portal, but he has a catalyst.
Oh, that changes his life forever.
Slumdog Millionaire. You know, it isn't really a true portal. You know that one? It's the kid that wins the game show and like he becomes a millionaire, but he's like poor. So like it's a catalyst, but you could also call it or literally like the bridge to Terabithia.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah,
he wins the Chocolate Factory. It changes his life forever.
Yeah, that's true. I think I might be skewing his idea a little bit. The other one I was gonna say is the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the Portal. Yeah. I think I'm skewing the idea a little bit, but literally the portal. It's like a entering, or the Matrix. That's the portal.
Oh, not Interstellar. What did we watch with Leonardo DiCaprio?
The one with Inception.
Inception.
That one could be it. That movie is like its own category.
That's fair. Yeah, I guess I didn't read into that because
there is a portal, but it not really, because like they're constantly going into heads. They're not like, oh, we're going into a head and we're there forever.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. I was gonna bring up the concept of the movie critic that I watched earlier was talking about the movie Onward. We watched it. It's like the animated elves. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where the half dad, it was just his legs.
Yes, that's a really good one. That was a Pixar, of course, right?
Yes.
Yeah, kind of seems like it didn't get a lot of attention, but it was pretty good.
There was actually a reason to it. It was the thing that I was going to talk about. And a lot of people talking about the, you know, what I don't remember what you just called it. The
portal?
the climax
Freytag's
of
Pyramid?
Freytag's Pyramid.
Yeah.
So the idea that movies are always supposed to have a happy ending is so instilled into our brains.
That one had a happy ending.
It did not.
Well,
It wasn't satisfying.
I thought so, but I guess it's probably subject to scrutiny. So they thought that you were going to see...
A lot of people did not find it satisfying.
Because he didn't get to see his father, and that was the whole point.
Yes.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. But he did, at the end, find out that he already had a father figure, which was his brother, and then realized how important he was. Because he filled out the entire checklist.
That was so much more crucial and important, and everybody was
so
left
set
hanging
on.
Because they were dead set. They had the expectation of him meeting his father.
So I think the Freytag's Pyramid is still correct, and I can narrate
I'm
it,
just saying
but I
that
think there's a bit of a curveball at the end. You're like, oh, in like technically they did get to see it, but like he didn't, you know. So if you consider the skinny kid, I forget his name, the main character, like he didn't get his resolution, but like he did. It just wasn't. It was a sneak. It was like, oh, all that effort.
I think that's such a big part of life, though, because you expect life to go one way, and usually it does not. I mean, I think about like the concept of my life could have went so many different ways. Like I could have still be in college or have graduated from college, or what if I did make it through the military, or what if I did quit tattooing, or, you know, what if I did go to be a doctor? Like there's so many different ways that life can go, and you can try and shoot for this one thing. Like he tried and made all of this effort to see his dad and didn't. But I feel like life kind of hands you what you need, you know? Like it gives you the tools. It gave him his, not always, sometimes you have to work for him for sure. It's not just a free handout session by any stretch of the means. But like, I don't know. I think people should be happy with that movie. It was good. Like
I thought it was fine.
It's a great, like,
maybe because something about the setup and the plot makes you think that since the Freytag Pyramid wants to equalize after a bad part, you know, after it tips the top and then it has to flatten out, your resolution for the resolution, literally the horizontal line after the downfall, is going to be, oh, he gets to spend X minutes with his dad, and it wasn't. So maybe in their mind they're not satisfied because you're expecting it. You know what I mean? Like
it was so much more warming and heartfelt to know that he realized that his brother did all that. You know, it was so much more to me than if he would have spent 5 minutes with his dad. What were they going to do if they had to animate that? They're going to be like, I love you, son. I love you too, Dad. And then he just disappears, you know? But no, he realized he had this lifelong connection with his brother, who he spent his, you know, like every waking moment with, who supported him through all of his faults and his downs. And it's not
the new dad.
It's not by any fault of his dad's that he wasn't there, you know, but he had a dad. He had a father figure all along. And like that means so much more, you know? He still has his brother around. And I don't know, that meant so much more to me than if they would have. I feel more satisfied with that than if I would have got the scene where he just hugged his dad and told him he loved him. And
yeah, you'd have to find a census. I guess people, did the IMDb or the Rotten Tomato what did I say? Did the Rotten Tomato turn out okay for that movie? I don't
know. I've actually never looked into it. That was the therapist review one that I watched earlier. They were talking about how a lot of people didn't like the ending of that movie. So I was like thinking about it, and I was like, I don't think I'd like it if it was the other way. If he really did get to see his dad, like it would be satisfying in some way, but it's way more satisfying to me that it was his brother.